Well, good morning, and thanks so much for joining us right here for Michiana Unsolved. We have a little bit of a change for you today, as I'm going to bring in First Alert Meteorologist Andrew Whitmyer, because we have a First Alert weather day today, and so we want to make sure that we talk about that, and then we're going to dive into another Michiana Unsolved. But joining me right now, First Alert Meteorologist Andrew Whitmyer. We're going to bring you up right now. All right, so you said, Christine, I got to join you. We got to talk about this because what time was it? This originally wasn't scheduled for today, but around what, 4 o'clock, 4:30, you said, guys, it's going to be a First Alert weather day.
Yes, we were seeing some more data coming into play here in First Alert weather. We were eyeing that today. Again, First Alert weather day criteria. Now, we're not going to be looking at widespread severe weather. We're looking at maybe 1, 2, maybe upwards of 3 thunderstorms. It could get a little bit on the active side west of US 31, Christine. The bulk of us for today, not going to see severe weather, but we are going to see some thunderstorms rolling on through. A bigger bark than bite headed our way for the evening hours of this Monday. And we're also going to be eyeing a First Alert weather day for our Tuesday, Christine.
All right, well, I'm going to let you kind of take it away and let us know what you know, because really the majority of the day is going to be nice and muggy and hot and humid, just the way we don't like it. And then later on today is really when we're going to see the storms, right?
That's right. So again, on this graphic here, we've got Monday evening as a First Alert weather day, as well as Tuesday night. So these are kind of the 2 time periods that our First Alert weather team is going to be eyeing, not only future track, but First Alert weather radar on the close side. So our severe weather risk for this Monday, you notice how we're shaded into the green here right now. Just an isolated chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm that could be strong, become strong and or severe. This yellow here, that's where several severe thunderstorms are possible over across the Chicagoland area, just west of Michiana. A bigger severe weather threat, though, looks to come into play as we head on into Tuesday. We're talking Tuesday night when many of you are already asleep. We're going to be looking at a cold front approaching us from the west. That's going to spark a line of thunderstorms, and that line of thunderstorms, as it moves on in Tuesday night, will likely contain some gusty wind speed. Likely it will weaken as we will start to lose the peak heating of the day, but nonetheless, we can't rule out a few wind gusts upwards of around 60 miles per hour. So here's how we round out our active start to this week. We've got round 1 of thunderstorms moving on in after 4 p.m. after the kiddos are already off the bus stop. And again, scattered thunderstorms rolling on through. A handful of them could be on the stronger side. And then as we head on into Tuesday night, we're watching round 2 to move on in as this line of storms will begin to roll on through the area Tuesday night. And that'll bring with it our greatest chance, I think, of strong to severe thunderstorms containing with it gusty wind. Hour by hour with Future Track as we walk you through this Monday evening First Alert weather day. You'll notice the bulk of the day stays nice and quiet. And then after 4 o'clock, that's when we start to bubble up a few of these scattered showers and thunderstorms. And it's a few of these thunderstorms that could contain some brief gusty wind, maybe some hailstones up to penny, upwards of quarter size, as well as some very heavy rainfall. You're going to notice by late this afternoon that air you can wear, the humidity, that's really going to begin to uptick later on today, and that's really going to help saturate the atmosphere, meaning as these showers and thunderstorms do arrive, producing with it heavy rain, lightning. A lot of this will contain a larger bark than bite, but again, a few of these storms will become on the strong side, and we'll have to watch First Alert weather radar closely as we head on into this evening for, again, some damaging hail, damaging wind, but heavy rain and lightning, the bigger culprit. Then as we head on into Tuesday's First Alert weather day, here we are Tuesday night at 11 p.m. We're going to be eyeing this line of thunderstorms off to our west, producing with it likely damaging wind gust, and that's going to begin to work its way closer towards Michiana. You will notice that it does start to weaken some as, again, we do lose the daytime heating here as we're in the overnight hours now. Here we are Wednesday at 1 a.m. A line of some strong storms rolling on in, and the culprit with these storms going to be damaging winds as that moves on through, as well as some brief heavier downpours. Just wanted to show you our humidity here. Again, you're going to see this upticking this afternoon, becoming downright muggy, if not sticky. Tuesday, first half of Wednesday, and then Wednesday afternoon into Thursday, we go back into that the comfier category. So again, we're going to watch the radar closely this evening and Tuesday night for 2 rounds of some stronger storms that could begin to roll on through Michiana, Christine.
Well, the good news, as we were talking about this morning, is that this is not going to hit right when a lot of us are sleeping. This is going to hit at least tonight while we've just kind of gotten back from work, or the kids. You were mentioning that we're not really worried about the kids getting off the school bus with this. They're already in their homes. So that's the good news, at least with this first round, right?
Right, and again, it's not going to be widespread by any stretch of the imagination. We're just going to be eyeing maybe 1 or 2 storms that could contain some gusty wind speeds as well as some small hail. A lot of this, though, just going to produce with heavier downpours as well as some lightning, a bigger bark than bite. And then as we head on into Tuesday, it's Tuesday night for a line of thunderstorms rolling on through, damaging wind gusts. It looks to be kind of the main threat with that as it does move on through. And the good news with Tuesday night is it's going to be moving on through during the overnight hours. We've already lost a lot of that daytime heating. So I think the bulk of the energy with this is going to begin to start to fizzle on out right over Michiana. So that's good news, as that should help to at least lessen at least some of those stronger wind gusts.
Yeah, because as we've learned, obviously that heat continues to feed into these storms, which make them more severe. So you said basically the hail is what we're kind of keeping an eye out for.
For today, it's going to be more about the hail as well as some heavier rainfall. And then for Tuesday night, it's going to be more about the wind as that front moves on through.
So basically, hopefully my baby will sleep tonight, but may not tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's going to be a loud one, I think, headed our way for Tuesday night. We're still going to be eyeing, we're getting fresh dew data coming into First Alert Weather right now, and we're going to have that for you coming up on 16 News Now live at noon regarding not only this round 1 for this evening storms, but also round 2 with this line, just to see kind of how severe that line likely will still be as it approaches us for Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm going to brag about you just a little bit. You've been working several hours like into the night on this to make sure that we had the very latest data. And then once we started the show, you continued. So honestly, you are on it, keeping us updated with very accurate information of what we're supposed to expect tonight and tomorrow. So I appreciate all the hard work.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know it can kind of be confusing with these First Alert Weather days and exactly when to expect what. And if you look at our 10-day, you notice that all of Tuesday's blinking red. Tuesday in itself is just going to be a warm summer day. It's not until we get into the overnight hours after 10 p.m. that we're going to be on storm watch as we head on into Tuesday. So kind of some timing issues here, and we're just trying to help you plan out your day here with First Alert Weather and when to expect the greatest inconveniences over the next 48 hours.
All right, sounds good. We're going to have you on at noon with anything else you see, and then of course bright and early tomorrow morning so we can prepare for tomorrow. I like to kind of be like, all right, let's take on today and then we'll talk about tomorrow. It's nice that we have both, but obviously we'll be with you along the way. And maybe not tonight, obviously, because we're going to be awake, but tomorrow is the perfect time to get that app if you have not already, because that thing is going to make sure you're staying safe overnight too, because you guys actually are in there in the computer putting everything you know in it.
Right, we put our own data in there right now on the WNDU First Alert Weather app. It'll also, again, locate and send you a push notification if there's any lightning within a certain mile radius of your exact location. And, of course, any watch or warning info also comes through the WNDU First Alert Weather app.
All right, we don't have any questions right now on this Facebook Live. I think we just got a lot of good information. So, Andrew, thanks for hopping on. If there's nothing else, I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit and move over to Michiana Unsolved. Is there anything else you got for us?
That's it. That's all I have. You take it away now, Christine.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow, okay?
All right.
All right, thanks, Andrew. All right, now we're going to switch back. Right now, we are going to talk about Michiana Unsolved. Today is an interesting case. It is one, a lot of times we obviously do cold cases. We do ones that have been years and years going unsolved. A lot of times we'll talk about homicides. Today, we are not talking about a homicide. In fact, we are going to talk about a case that involved a shooting, but also involved non-life-threatening injuries. Now, that being said, these injuries are still very severe. But what I really appreciate with this is actually the South Bend Police Department went to Lieutenant Kayla Miller and said, hey, can we please highlight this case on this segment right here? So again, I just love that we're able to work with local agencies to highlight these cases. So let's jump right in it. I'm going to start right now with this case that we're highlighting. If you know anything, it's time to speak up. Here we go.
St. Patrick's Day night, again, it was March 17th and into those wee hours of March 18th. So we're talking about 1:30 in the morning on March 18th. The South Bend Police Department was called to the 4200 block of Irish Hills Drive, and that would be the Irish Hills apartment complex on the city's southeast side. And the reports were for a male party who had been shot. Officers arrived on scene and they located one male victim suffering from a non-fatal gunshot wound. and he was transported to Memorial Hospital to be treated for very serious injuries and initially was in critical condition. The South Bend Police Department's Violent Crimes Unit responded and began the investigation into the shooting. And ultimately, they've been asking for the community's help, and they're hoping that the community can step up. There's been very few details to go on from the very beginning, and what they do know and what what we're going to be sharing is that they know that there were at least two shooters that night, but there's not been any real descriptions that we're able to share at this point. And unfortunately, that's kind of all that they have is that most of the calls that they got were for people who had heard shots but didn't really see anything. So we're hoping that maybe this will elicit somebody who maybe you didn't hear those shots. Maybe you looked out your window and you saw something and you just didn't know that it was important. Every detail is so important in these investigations. So, and no detail is too small. The other thing that we wanted to say is really the victim in this is a young adult male, and while he is recovering, he's got a very long road of a very long road of recovery ahead of him. Very extensive injuries that as a result of the shooting, and it just is so unfortunate that this situation happened. And at the same time, we're also very fortunate that we only had one victim this night. We have a couple crime scene photos here that we want to show you. So as you're looking at those, and you can see some of that evidence. And we also wanted to kind of point out where exactly this is in the apartment complex. So we have that map here. So as we talk about this apartment complex of Irish Hills, it is a little confusing because the entire apartment complex, every road in the apartment complex is called Irish Hills Drive. And so we want to make sure that we're giving a clear idea of where this is at. So we're looking here at Inwood. So when you come in off of Inwood Road, we're going to be coming in through this kind of south on Irish Hills Drive. And right here where you see this arrow is where it's going to be the block in which the shooting did occur. So just to give folks maybe in that apartment complex a little bit of an idea of where this occurred at, it would have been on the northwest side of the apartment complex. So as we see those crime scene photos, we did recover casings outside of the apartment complex. The victim was inside the apartment at the time, so those bullets did travel inside the apartment as those shooters were outside. So that's why, we are so fortunate that we did only have one victim in this.
Do we think this was an accident? Was this individual the intended target, do you think?
So that's one of the things that the detectives have been looking into are those pieces right there. Definitely does not appear that it was accidental. Multiple casings were recovered. Generally speaking, it's kind of hard to say that you have an accident when you fire multiple shots. We've got nothing indicating that there was any issues with the victim that we've been able to see right now. So really the entire case is kind of a unanswered a lot of unanswered questions with this one, because and we've got cooperation, so it's not that this is a case of people aren't being cooperative. It's just that there's just hasn't been a lot of detail that's been able to be shared.
Well, and again, this is a pretty big complex, and the home or the street isn't right on the end. So you had to drive through it. I'm assuming after this, you're probably speeding off to get out of the area. So again, if you saw something, if you heard something, if you had a weird car in the area that you've been living in, you thought, hey, we don't see that very much, speak up. Obviously, Michiana Crime Stoppers. I do want to talk about injuries. You mentioned that initially, when the young boy was taken to the hospital, we're talking serious injuries, has obviously gotten better, but has a long road ahead. Can you tell me a little bit more about the injuries he sustained, or we kind of don't want to go there?
So we just out of respect and some privacy for him as he deals with that, we won't get too much into that. We'll just say that those injuries are significant in that it has definitely been life changing in the last several months and the next several months ahead of him as he tries to recoup and recover from this. It's never want to say that there's a gunshot wound is not a big deal, because they are. But when it comes to the injuries that he sustained, they were very significant. Multiple surgeries have already taken place. So it's definitely something that has altered his life over the last several months and will continue to do so in the future. One of the things that I want to also mention, I think you touched on it perfectly, Christine, was that, as those that are living there in that apartment complex, you touched on, there's the way in and the way out. It's, but also those that maybe live there on Inwood Road as well, on that side of it, it's possible that a car maybe even was parked up on Inwood and so suspects took off on foot. And so maybe you live there in the area of Inwood and you saw someone speeding shortly thereafter. That's a possibility as well. So again, just kind of expanding our perimeters a little bit of those that maybe have that information.
So normally we talk homicides, which then associate a $2,500 cash reward with them if the tip, of course, leads to the solving of the case or an arrest. This isn't a homicide. So what kind of reward are we talking here?
Right. So this is actually something that would be considered part of our victory over violence reward. So while it's not a full $2,500 reward, it is a reward of up to $1,000. So that victory over violence reward again is anything that is connected to a felony crime involving gun violence. So here we have a non-fatal shooting. So that's that battery with a deadly weapon involving a firearm. So it is that $1,000 victory over violence reward.
And I do also want to talk about the fact that we aren't identifying the victim. And normally we don't do this in general when it comes to victims unless they have died from their injuries. Do you want to speak a little bit more on that?
Yes, so this is just one where, as we're talking about a young adult here, we want to just be able to protect him as he goes through this traumatic event. And while we understand that the community wants to have the details and be able to help as much as they can, and we do appreciate that, it is also so important for us to keep our victims safe and be able to protect our victims and do right by our victims. And so it is a priority of the police department and, of course, Michiana Crime Stoppers to just make sure that we're doing everything we can to not only solve the cases for our victims, but help them transition from being a victim of a crime, but then going through this entire process and helping them become survivors and helping them transition through all of the stages. And while the investigation portion of the of the process can be very lengthy, we want to just make sure that we're doing everything we can to help him process and focus on his recovery.
And of course, you can help shorten that process. If you have any information, you are encouraged to speak up. I know that you have seen this in the past and we can't show it enough. A number that you can call, actually two, that you can call Michiana Crime Stoppers, 365 24/7. Someone will answer that call. You can also go online, p3tips.com/203. It's really easy, or you can download the P3 app and submit a tip there. So again, I know that we're used to cold cases, homicides, but this is one where police really, really need your help. So again, this is that criteria of if you don't have any information, that's okay. Maybe you can help us out by sharing it on social media and getting as many eyes on it as we can. Let's not forget we've done that in the past, right? With your help of sharing this on social media, this has really gained legs and traveled all across our country. And then we've ultimately found people attached to cases that have really helped the police department out. So again, if you have any information, please reach out. It's time. I know it's been a short while, but this family certainly wants some answers, and I think that that's fair. Here we go. Here's some information. If you have a case that you would like to see solved or highlighted on here, please send me an email, christine.karsten@WNDU.com. You can also send me a message on Facebook. Again, I'm just really appreciative to the South Bend Police Department for reaching out to Lieutenant Miller and saying that they wanted to be featured on this segment. It's something that I really care about, and we continue to grow. Obviously, you've seen us down here as we continue to do this. We've gone upstairs and done a more lengthy interview with detectives about cold cases, and we're going to continue to do that and continue to grow this, and we couldn't do this without your help. So again, if you have any information, please come forward. If you don't have any information, we would love it if you could share this on social media to help us get as many eyes on it as we can, and do what we can to help members of our community. That's all I have for you today. I'm going to see you bright and early tomorrow morning. But in the meantime, this is Michiana Unsolved, and I'm Karsten. Hope you have a great day.